Welcome, Siddharth. And if you have any questions, you should raise them up. It's important that if there are any clarifications, just ask.
So, Deepti ji, I just wanted to ask one question.
Hmm.
So, Deepti ji, when you basically, isn't I and Ishwar the same? Because you said Ishwar is the fifth element, right? So,
Mhm.
should it not be considered if I am there in the equation, so is Ishwar? Because the concept is that, you are one, right? You, Ishwar, are just, we have created an entity so that
Yeah.
we can concentrate, or maybe we can do we have motivation and we have a clear mind, right? But isn't I and Ishwar the same? So why is it introduced as a separate entity in those five elements?
Uh, because till you're told it is one, you see it either as not there or as separate.
So I mean, what I understand is it's because right now I don't realize that I am Brahman.
That's right.
So until
That's right.
then, I want to see Ishwar as Ishwar, and eventually I'll realize that I am Ishwar and Brahman.
Absolutely. So, you see, when we are learning a system of knowledge, we try and see it from the steps in which it takes us. So when we say that Ishwar and I are one, we are now talking at the highest point of unfoldment. But the context in which the book has started is addressing that default mode of thinking that people hold, that there is no Bhagwan, there's no Ishwar, or they will be very strong to say that there is an Ishwar who is separate from us and remains separate from us, that there will be never a oneness seen. There's never a oneness between Ishwar and you. So Ishwar and you actually is not one. Ishwar as Brahman and you as Brahman is one. Ishwar is Sagunam. Ishwar is Mahasrishti. It's Mahakarta. It is Ishwar is uh, the Mahatvam of everything, is the Lord of everything. But Jiva is Jiva, the opposite drishti that I hold, that I am an individual. That individual is all limited, is all a limited knower, a limited entity, birth and born and gone and things like that. So when the context is between Jiva and Ishvara, they are distinct. But when the Swarupam of both is seen, then they are same. Is that okay, Divya?
Thank you, Deepti ji.
So we will start the class. Because
Recording.
now, sorry, thanks. Let's see. Does someone want to chant? Remembers the mantra and doesn't
Can
need to
I
see the
try?
screen? Without seeing the screen.
Okay.
Would you like to, or should I share the screen?
Let me
Okay,
try
I'll
if
share.
okay.
I'll share. You need not see.
Okay.
And when you need to see, you can see.
ॐ सहनातु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Excellent. Just a little correction. Tejasvi Navadhi Tamastu. That's a short ukar. So let the pronunciation be short. It should not be Dhi Tamastu. Dhi Tamastu. You have just withheld the breath a bit. So short U, otherwise the meaning will change. If you make it a long U, then the mantra can have a different meaning. Okay, so just that much, but otherwise very good. Thank you. And I hope we were remembering the meaning along with as we were also chanting. So we will continue. Now, as I said, the context of this book, and in fact, any of the Shastra, when we pick up even the Gita, say Bhagavad Gita, you find that actual teaching starts from the second chapter, 11th verse. But before the real teaching starts, there is a certain background which is also covered as a part to bring the context to the mind of the student. And from that context, the Siddhant, the knowledge is elucidated. So the context is very essential to be able to see the perspective, see the point of view from where it is coming. You don't just randomly pick up a Siddhant and just start on it. You can, but the idea will not be fully conveyed. So here the context has been two kinds of context. One is special request by Ramana's devotee, Muruganar, and Muruganar himself brings up the context of the Puranas and the Shiva story in the Puranas, which he wants to write in a poem, which he tells Ramana to now compose those verses where the knowledge is given by Ramana. Now, before the 30 verses start, Muruganar himself wrote a prefatory verse, a preface to the book that he was writing, Tiruvandiyar he was writing, of which these 30 verses were the Upadesa Sara, Upadesa Undiyar, and just as in Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita is picked up as its pivotal point, as the gem, as the pearl in the whole Mahabharata. In the same way, 137, if I'm not mistaken, were the verses of Tiruvandiyar, out of which the 30 verses have come out as Upadesa Sara. And just before that was the entire story that he wrote in the verses and a preface that he gave. The Sanskrit of those I don't have, but these translations are there because that is written in Tamil, the verses that we have. So I'm reading the translation of those 6 verses that are in the context of where the teaching starts and why Ramana writes the first verse the way he presents it. The preface of this book was, which is written by Muruganar himself, and that he was requesting Ramana. That's what's written in that verse. Know that Upadesha Undiyar is a light of knowledge, Gyan, which our father Ramana composed and bestowed upon Muruganar, who entreated graciously, reveal the secret of spiritual practice, sadhana, so that the people of the world may attain liberation and be saved by giving up the delusion of action, in brackets, karma. The intention is set here. What is the intention? That tell us, he's asking Ramana, tell us about those practices, spiritual sadhanas, knowing which people in the world can attain liberation. And second thing is, be saved by giving up the delusion of action. Whatever wrong thinking we hold around the idea of action, karma, may we be corrected on those wrong ideas. That is what his intention is. And then he writes a few verses, 70 and 71. Those who were performing the austerities, tapas in Daruka forest were heading for the ruin. Again, I would have underlined that, were heading for the ruin by following the path of Purva Karma. Because of their deceptive self-conceit, they became intoxicated with excessive pride, saying, there is no God except karma. Again, I would have underlined that. This is the thinking of the Purva Mimamsaka that we've been analyzing since last 2-3 classes. Those rishis who were following the Karam Kand, adhering to it, yes, with complete sincerity. That is a very important point. Bhagwan's grace over here, say even in the Puranas as is explained, Shiva's grace didn't fall upon them because they were just fanatic. They were sincere and therefore they became fanatics. So the preceding part was they believed genuinely that this is what it is. They were not seeing beyond that. So with that limited perception is where he started. So there is no God except karma, quote unquote. This is where it's going to go forward. And then from 71st verse up to 98th verse is that whole story. 99th verse said they saw the fruit of actions done by spurning God, when they were trying to do the abhichara karma. Who actually gives the fruits of actions? Ishvara himself giving the fruit of actions, and these rishis in their self-conceit were not accepting it. Who gives the fruits of actions, karma phala, and hence they lost their pride. They saw that actually their abhichara karma was absolutely ineffective on Ishvara. Therefore, they realized that something was missing and they lost their pride. Important. When they wept prayerfully, means there was a sense of being lost. What they were so sure was the right path, suddenly they saw that this is not completely right. So they felt inwardly lost. When they were feeling lost, wept prayerfully and prayed, graciously save us. Shiva bestowed the glance of his grace upon them and graciously gave these instructions. Upadesha. By one's imbibing and following this Upadesa Saram, the essence of spiritual instructions, bliss will rise from within and the miseries within will be destroyed. May the import, Saram, of Upadesa Saram enter our heart. May abundant joy be attained. May suffering cease. May it cease. The repetition twice means now he's concluding his introduction before Ramana started the first verse. Now the important thing here was delusion of action that the rishis were holding and the fact that they felt God, karma is God, supreme, because that's the word he's going to use. Now with that background, we are going to start the first verse. The 3 verses we will chant together. As in, I'll do the first verse. Who wants to volunteer to follow after me? Divya, you started the chanting. Do you want to do it?
Yes, Preeti ji.
Karturajnaya prapyate phalam.
कर्तुर कर्तुराज्ञ कर्तुराज्ञ I'll need some help.
Karturajnaya
कर्तुराज्ञना
Rajnaya
राज्ञन्या
Karturajnaya prapyate phalam.
कर्तुराज्ञना प्राप्यते फलम्
Karma kim param karma tajjadam.
कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जगम्
Jadam.
तज्जडम्.
Okay, let me do the 3 verses together. You just listen first. Okay? कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परम् कर्म तज्जडम्. Sorry, continue.
कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परम् कर्म तज्जनम्.
Not janam, jadam.
तज्जडम्.
Jad. कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणम्
कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणम्
फलमशाश्वतम् गतिनिरोधकम्.
फलम् शाश्वतम् गतिनिरोधकम्.
कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणम् फलमशाश्वतम् गतिनिरोधकम्.
कृतिमहदधौ पतनकारणम् फलमशाश्वतम् गतिनिरोधकम्.
ईश्वरार्पितम् नेच्छया कृतम्
ईश्वरर्पितम् नित्यकृतम्.
ईश्वरार्पितम् नेच्छया कृतम्
ईश्वरार्पितम् नेच्छया कृतम्.
चित्तशोधकम् मुक्तिसाधकम्.
चित्तशोधकम् मुक्तिसाधकम्.
So the first verse, Kartuhu Agneya. I think most of you have the book, so I am not going to go into all the word meanings separately. You can refer to it. The word is Kartuhu Agneya. The very first word, Kartuhu. Kartuhu word is actually the would I say this? It's of course a name of Vishwadeva. How am I going to say this? In short, first, Kartuhu is Bhagwan, Ishwar, creator. Why is Kartuhu called, translated or called as a creator? Karta is one of the names of Bhagwan, Ishwar. Karta is a name of Bhagwan, actually a name of a Vishwadevaha, one of the Vishwadevaha. Vishwadevaha means all the Vedic deities, when they are taken together, they are addressed in one form, which is Vishwadevaha. So whenever there is supposing a mention of Vishwadevaha, it means all the Vedic deities that are mentioned in the Vedas. One of them, one name is Karta. And there are more names than what is mentioned in this verse. This verse comes in Mahabharata Anushasana Parva. Over there, as you see, Chamuharaha, Sureshaha, Vyomarihi, Shankaraha, Bhavaha, Ishaha, Karta, Kritardakshaha, Bhuvanaha, Divya Krit. These are all the names of, in fact, in the next verse, Ishvara is also one of the names. So what we all call as Ishvara, Ishvara all the time, as the translation of God, that Ishvara is also one of the names. Now, Karta, by this Praman of Mahabharata verse, is a name of the God, one of the deities. Its sixth case, means in Sanskrit you have cases. So the sixth case form of it is kartuhu. Kartuhu is not a karak. Sixth case is a non-karak vibhakti. Karakas is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. All the karakas means everything that gets engaged in performance of an action in verbs. When you actually have, karta, karma, karana. Remember, if anybody remembers, sampradana, apadana, sambandha, adhishthana, all those are karakas. So they get involved in any action. Karta hota hai, first case में डालो, जो कर्म कर रहे हैं जो सेकंड केस में डालो, जो इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स यूज हो रहे हैं थर्ड केस में डालो, एंड दैट इज हाउ यू फॉर्म अ सेंटेंस. सिक्स्थ केस इज अ नॉन कारक, मीन्स it is not one of the ingredients of karma. It's a sambandha, used in the case of sambandha also, but it is also non-karak, used as a non-karak. So that is how Ramana, Karta's sixth case, Karta is the name of a Bhagwan. Ishwar ko general name Vishwadevaha, one of the names. So he knows in karmas Vishwadevaha were invoked. He knows, as in that's besides the point. Vishwadevaha is to whom somebody is receiving your karma. So all of them put together is Vishwadevaha, of which one of them is Karta. This Karta is called Kartuhu, defining it now to say he's the Lord. He's the creator. And as I said in the beginning, we are doing Sahana Vavatu as the invocation. This book did not have an invocation like that. So Bhagwan starts the word by Kartuhu. Kartuhu means now he's invoked Bhagwan. But he's constantly addressing the Purva Mimamsaka. And that is why I brought that verse. According to them, karma is God. So here it is said, Kartuhu Agnyaya. Agnya se. Agnya means command. By the command of Kartuhu, Prapyate Phalam. One receives phal. Phal milta hai. By his command, phal milta hai. Now if we go back or forward, I think Karta, we said, is the Jiva. Yesterday we saw that. Identified with the body with a sense of a void. Identifying with a sense of a void with the body, a desire erupts and you get to doing an action. That is Karta. This Karta of the Jiva is not referred directly as Kartuhu here, because he is trying to distinguish, does Jiva have any control over the Phal Prapti? We know that. Do you have any control over how you will get the fruit, when you will get the fruit? Karam kiye ja rahe hain, you find so many people struggling in life and they just don't know when their struggle will end and they will come to a point where they will also have a comfortable life. Most humanity is struggling actually for everyday life, bread and butter also. When will the struggle end? Nobody knows. They are working as best as they can. You can do your karma. Adhikar tumhara karam mein hai. So with reference to karta, you have all the free will and the right. What action you want to generate. But having generated an action, you lose all rights, as if. Now you have no right over what the outcome is going to come. But yet an outcome will come. That is a law. वो नियम है. कर्म का फल आना ही है. वो नियम है. लेकिन क्या फल आएगा, अब ये आपके हाथ में नहीं है और आप जान सकते नहीं हो. Neither can you know it. It's not in your hands, neither can you know it. This distinction to be drawn. What is in your control as your capacity to perform, to do, identifying with the body, and understanding very clearly, seeing it, what is actually not in your hand. So when you start seeing the cycle that we generate, identifying with the body from that sense of void, or even forget the void, just desire, void तक भी अगर कोई विचार कर पाया तो you're a mature human being. 99.999999 recurring % of people, we start with only desires. हमें इच्छा है इसलिए हम काम करते हैं, हमें जो अच्छा लगता है उसके लिए काम करते हैं. So our recognition, our awareness, self awareness, हमारी चेतना कितनी फैली है, how much have we expanded into seeing, उतनी ही फैली है कि डिजायर हम देख पाते हैं अपनी. I only recognize my desires. I'm not even able to recognize that they erupt from a sense of want, that void. Very rarely do you find someone finding that restlessness as a constant source within. So, Karta, limited jiva, this limited individual, limited jiva, can only do karma that much that he identifies and he knows. But if karma was supreme, he believes that having done karma, he's done what is supposed to be done. Then everybody should be getting the fruits and nobody should be unhappy. Am I right in that assumption? अगर कर्म में ही फल छुपा है और कर्म ही फल जनरेट करता है तो कर्म सब कर रहे हैं. थोड़ा सा ट्वीकिंग इधर उधर करके यू कैन ऑलवेज मॉडिफाई योर कर्मा. एट लीस्ट the level of people, there should be a greater proportion of people who are happy and satisfied. So you realize that even the capacity, as you think further, even that capacity to act, where has it really come from? The desire is mine. The void is mine. The body, I say, is mine. But the capacity to act, who makes my hands and legs move? Who enlivens? I'm using the word enliven. ये जो चेतना हम वर्ड यूज कर रहे हैं, ये हमें अवेयरनेस आई कैसे कि हमको ये इच्छा है करने की. Can you point to yourself and say, just as I make tea and I do this and I do, can I tell I do my desire? Fantastic. This weekend, what is my plan? My plan is to do desire. Can you use doing word with desire? No, I have a plan this weekend to clean my house. I can do something, but I can't do desire. I don't have steps to say, okay, today I will have one thought, then tomorrow, next week I will have another thought. And I say, no, I will see if I want to have a desire. With objects and acquisitions, with actions, you can plan. But with desire, you just find yourself having desire. That capacity, firstly, to act itself, it's not generated out of an action. Karam nahi generate karta wo capacity to act. You use that capacity to act to do karma. But karma does not generate the capacity to act. Similarly, you can only do karma, but phal, you cannot actually modify the phal once it comes also. What kind of a phal is going to come? You can only tweak it at the level of your action. But फल जब mature होके आता है, it is now there. What kind of a फल it is, more important, when is it to be experienced? When will it mature? कब मिलना चाहिए इस जीव को उसके कर्म का फल? Who decides that? Where is it accumulated? What is that law governor, as if, under whom this sets in motion? So, Ramana says, Kartuhu Agneya. There is a commander, accept it. That there is something beyond you. There is a law which governs the cycles. I think yeah. There is a Kabir Doha. The second line is more relevant in this context. But the Doha is, Dheere Dheere Re Mana Dheere Sab Kuch Hoye. Everything happens in time, slowly. Mali Siche So Ghada. What is that aspect referring to? Mali Siche So Ghada. What does that aspect refer to?
तुम अपना कर्म कर सकते हो, फल तुम्हारे
Ah,
हाथ में नहीं है.
correct. You can only do your action. Ritu aaye, phal hoye. Only in the right season the fruit will come. तुम्हारे हाथ में क्या है? बीज बोना, 100 घड़ा डालना. But जब the मौसम is correct, फल होए. That फल होए, ऋतु आए फल होए, is that कर्तुः आग्नेया. It is by his command, because आपका फल, बीज जमीन में पकड़ा, नहीं पकड़ा, so many things that I don't have to generalize and spend time on. We know that. So, माली सींचे 100 घड़ा, ऋतु आए फल होए. कर्म किम परम, कर्म तच्चड़म. This is what I find very, very fascinating. For the first time, excellent, yeah. Akanksha, can you say that?
Yes, Titi ji. It says, they say, in the Granth Sahib, they say, Hukumi hukum chalaye ra, Nanak bigse beparwa, which means apparently that the Lord, it is with his hukum that everything happens, and therefore Nanak says that he is beparwa because he doesn't have control. He only has control apparently on his action, and but everything is happening according to the hukmi's hukum.
Correct. So everybody, so you see this point is there in so many different ways it is said. This is important. Hukumi's hukum. That word is so beautiful. Hukumi's hukum. जो हुकुम हम क्या कर सकते हैं, जो कर सकते हैं, मगर उसको जो एम्पावर कर रहा है, the one above it, that alone can give you fal. How is karam param? That's a question Ramana is asking. How can you say karam is God? How can you believe karam is superior? And if karam is not superior, because this is very important, because Ramana is going to build on all this. If karam is not superior, the karta that the jiva thinks he is, why do we believe ourselves to be such great species? मतलब हम तो अब इतना deluded हैं, because we believe we have a power to act and change. Therefore, we think we are supremost species, and etc. How can you think that karma is supreme? Karma tat jadam. That karma, look at the words. वो जो कर्म है ना, वो तो जड़ है. Karma by itself is jad. Jad is inert. Which means what? Be very diligent in your thinking now. Expand your thinking. Think. जड़ अपने आप से क्या कुछ कर सकता है? कुछ भी चीज जो जड़ है, can it just operate on its own? Can it perform an action out of its own? जड़ cannot. In fact, that's why it is called जड़. जड़ अपने आप में वस्तु नहीं है, मगर जो चीज अपने आप कुछ कर नहीं सकती उसको हम जड़ कहते हैं. तो कर्म क्या है? कर्म is जड़. It cannot exist by itself. There is one who does some karma. So who is supreme? Compared to कर्म, करने वाला. But करने वाला भी is actually not supreme, because ये करने वाला फल नहीं ला सकता. The one who controls the फल, he is the one who's supreme. And actually now you bring it closer. The minute we say karta, we say Ishvara, there is this distance that is formed in your mind, external to me. That Bhagwan is external, outside. It's external to me. The one creator कहते ही we obviously imply it's outside. But for any karma or desire for karma to take place, it has happened where? In your mind. And mind in itself, is it Jad or is it Chetan? From Tattvabodha, if you remember. Mind by itself is
Jad.
Jad. Mind by itself is Jad. It's just thoughts. But that awareness of the thought, the Chetan part of it, that is reflected in the mind, without that intelligence there, the intelligent being there, you cannot have an action. Example, I think, if you want a pot you see, without presuming that there is a pot maker, can you imagine a pot being there at all? But the pot must have got conceived first before it became a pot. I'll go back to that diagram. Don't remember आगे पीछे ना. Pot is a product. Khat, product. But where is this product conceived? In the mind of a jiva, with the help of the materials and the instruments. In the mind of the jiva, mind is a thought of, I got a thought of a pot. But that sentiency behind that thought, which enlivened the thought into saying, I want to make a pot. That sentiency connecting the I with the entire sequence of whatever is to be done, that sentiency is supreme, because compared to the karma, it cannot exist outside of this sentient being. Karma cannot exist outside the sentient person. This sentiency's nature, where is that sentiency reflected in this jiva? Has the jiva produced it? Am I producing my consciousness? I am producing a pot. I can see it. I can touch it. I can smell it. I can feel it. I can use it. Can I do the same with my sentiency? Where does the sentiency come from? I have absolutely no role in it. I'm just blessed to have it. Recognize that it is I am alive till I am alive. I'm just blessed to know. I'm blessed is also just one word. I can only revel in this fact that I am a conscious person. I'm conscious. I'm aware. That is why some people who are absolutely dull in their thinking, The Panchatantra book has come out because of this. If you know, the princes were very dull and dumb. Thinking was, हम कहते भी ना, जड़ बुद्धि है इसकी. इसकी बुद्धि जड़ है. जड़ means immobile. चलती नहीं है. Whatever is supposed to work is not working. Sentiency is there, but the power to generate the right thought or to direct the thought, to control the thought, to manifest the thought into action, if needed, which thought not to manifest, ये सारा तो कोई control कर रहा है ना? I hope the idea is getting conveyed. Siddharth? Just nod. Yeah? Okay. So, the whole purpose is what? For us, by this one verse, a lot gets unfolded. What is Jad has no power over anything. It cannot operate on its own. And what do you find in the world around you? Here we brought it to ourselves. Because first idea हमारा होता है कि that creator is sitting out there somewhere. Alright, it's the same principle working here. And if it's the same principle working here, it is the same principle which is everywhere, which means there is no outside and inside. It is the same principle. I identify it here, but it is not limited to here. I identify that I am sentient, but the sentiency is not restricted to me. But my action is restricted to me. My action is not powerful. My action is not supreme. But the sentiency here is certainly supreme. And this, he says, that how much action does everybody produce? I just want to bring it here, supposing. I make a pot. Just take it as a mental exercise. What are the things that are going to happen while you make a pot? Start from the very beginning. In your mind, you've conceived an idea. When you start thinking, I want to make a pot, a desire came from here. Why I want a pot? Because I need something that will hold my water. Start when human beings started creating all this. We felt the need to have some vessels to hold something. So chalo, let's start from there. It's easier to conceive. We felt a void. What is a void? That we, instead of bringing water in our hands from the river all the time, we thought and then we found a bark of a tree that could be, that is a void that is generating a need. Kuch. We are modifying it constantly. Now from there the desire came. Now what is the nature of your desire? That can affect what kind of a pot you make. Is it right? I have a desire only for a small pot. The other one says, I want a bigger pot. Badal gaya? Pal badal gaya? One person says, I want pot only for myself. One person says, if I'm making for myself, I might as well make 3 more. Let other 3 people benefit out of my making a pot. Why should everybody make a pot only? I'm already making a pot. I will make 3 more. Let me put a little more effort. Phal badal gaya? One says, I will make only with clay. The other says, I don't want this clay. I want to mix more water in it. One says, I want to make a lasting one. You know why forts are still alive? Fort palaces and forts. Because they believed that material should be permanently used. Why make the same thing again and again? It is unlike the modern buildings now. Now, I want us to see how many places can same action yield a different result. To simplify it, it will start with your intention. If you and I go join a pottery class, let's all join a pottery class. Okay? The very starting point, our teacher will be the same, everything will be the same. But the starting point itself is, why did I join the class? That will go as an ingredient to action. because that is what has prompted me to join the class in the first place. So वहीं से सब बदलाव शुरू हो जाएगा. आपका फल अलग होगा, मेरा अलग होगा, क्योंकि your and my intentions are not going to be the same. From there, next is what? Intention being that. Now, how am I molding that intention? When I say molding that intention, means it's just at a thought level. How am I interacting with this now? Because now I'm in a pottery class. But how am I going to generate? What am I doing with those set of interactions or etc.? The fruit will change. Phal will change for each one of us. It changes at the motivation level, intention level. It changes at the thought level. It changes at the very desire level. That smallness, so many places I can point. Then it will change at the very level in which you do. If you're short-sighted, if you're long-sighted, means you have a longer goal, you have a shorter goal, you have an immediate need, you have a long-term need. Thousands of things, thousands of factors. Each factor is going to go into your formation of a pot. And none of those yardsticks are going to be the same for two people. Question is कि जब pot बन के आएगा, you are the one who created the pot, you are going to get the pot. That pot's outcome is based on so many factors in one action. And I said yesterday, they were all getting received when they're in transitory mode. Transitory mode means you have collected the material, you have spun the wheel, and you have put your mold of clay on. अभी तो transition में है ना, अभी action पूरा नहीं हुआ है. While every action is getting in transition, it is getting received somewhere. Here in the context, it's a pot, so it's easy to see. Where is it received? On the wheel. Everything is getting received on the wheel. But our actions at the level of intentions are not on the wheel. कोई physical चीज तो है नहीं ना जो intention को पकड़ रही है. Is your intention physical? I think some of you have lost me and I have lost some of you. Is it true? No, na?
No.
No, okay. So since the whole idea is karma, capacity तो है हमारी, but at so many levels, we are not controlling it. We don't know it. We can't control it. हम जितना भी कंट्रोल कर पा रहे हैं, वो भी ऐड हो रहा है, और जितना हम नहीं कंट्रोल कर पाते या हमको पता ही नहीं है और हम करते हैं, वो भी तो ऐड हो रहा है. So if I did not check my intention, but I joined a pottery class just because it's fun, my friends were joining, I also joined. In fact, I did not want to join. I'm telling you, I did not want to join. I wanted to laze on my Sunday. And especially when it's winters, I just wanted my blanket and my heater and food ready on my table. मुझे नहीं करना. अब तो virtual भी नहीं आना मेरे को. I don't want to. But my friend insisted. One person is, my friend insisted. The same friend insisted the other friend. And correct. Yes, Gyanendriya and Karmendriya have the respective devtas. Yes. This is at the level of the body. And those total devtas is Vishwa Devta when it's done in karma form. So, other friend, this friend called two friends. One said, the other friend said, wow, if she's recommending, must be something good. Let me also join. Pal badal gaya. Now the question is, उसको ये फल मिलेगा और इसको ये फल मिलेगा, ये कहाँ लिखा है? और बिल्कुल वही मिलेगा. So many times we see वो एकदम से कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे थे, but suddenly things have become better, and this was so diligent. And so, who's controlling the arithmetic of karma? Where is it held and who's controlling? किस हिसाब से किसको क्या फल मिल रहा है, जबकि पता है सबको कि कर्म तो हम ही कर सकते हैं। और सुनते भी हैं सोसाइटी में, एवरीबडी, अरे तुमको तुम्हारे कर्मों का ही फल मिल रहा है। इट्स एज इफ इट्स अ बिग जजमेंट एंड इट्स अ बिग, समटाइम्स you are getting your own karma. You generate your karma, you get your phal. Is it really so? Yes, you get your karma, you bring your own phal, but in between there is someone, something, some power, some decider, an intelligent force. Intelligent is our drishti. It has to be extremely intelligent to be able to direct the result where and when it is to manifest. Because phal, ritu aaye phal hoye. Phal became manifest. And we saw in Tattva, all creation is manifestation. It is not a creation. जो पहले नहीं था वो अब है, और जो है वो फिर से नहीं होगा. Manifest and unmanifest is the cycle. Creation, when we use the word, it doesn't mean from nothing something has come. From seed, a fruit came. Fruit was unmanifest in seed. Planting the seed, watering it, etc., taking care of the sapling, all this came into the karma form. But phal hoye, the process of the conversion of the seed into phal, I seem to have no power over it. And even if I didn't sow the seed, when human being was not so aggressive, the land was full of vegetation and fruits and everything. Who was sowing the seeds? We had greater green land than we had living land. Who sows the whole Amazon river belt, etc. Man hasn't done. जब से man has started doing, तब से problem has started. Because you think you can sow the seed, you think you will get the fruit at this time. So we have vegetables all unseasonal also. Because we think we can do it, no? But is it really helpful? This is where Vedic vision connects you to your higher self, takes you away from a utilitarian approach to living life. But anyway, coming back to the point, this फल में जो भेद है, जो मिलता है करने के बावजूद, that controller as if, that is Ishvara, and as Karta, his name Karta, as that Karta, he is the Phala Data alone. He doesn't have the will to create action. He can only give you the fruit of your action. But you only have the will to do action. You have no power over the fruit. बिल्कुल अलग portfolio है. The portfolio of external ministry and the portfolio of finance. If you are going to do karma, Bhagwan, the niyam is, you are bound to get the fruit. What sort of a fruit will you get? It's not in your hand. And his hands are tied. His hands are tied कैसे? वो भी पूरा free उस हिसाब से नहीं है. He can only give you according to what is your karma. So however much you pray, hey Bhagwan, hey Bhagwan, hey Bhagwan, hey Bhagwan, hey Bhagwan, hey Bhagwan, Bhagwan is crying there saying, hey Bhagwan, you also do something ना, तब तो मैं भी कुछ करूं. You just want me to do. And you, how can my hands are tied, I can't do your work. Unless until you do what you're supposed to do, I can't give you the phal.
Then
Is
Deepiji,
there,
he gives us prerna to do it, no?
he
Then he
gives us,
puts it.
He gives
He
us,
puts that prerna in our mind, and maybe we end up doing it much more better, and then we get a better
yeah,
fruit.
but that's a value we abide in because we don't want to arrogate our own prerna to ourselves also because that's ahankar there. If I can do karma, I can have prerna also, and that will become my downfall. So it's an attitude that we live with. कि जो भी अच्छा है वो let us keep it to Bhagavan, to some higher power. Let's not arrogate it because arrogation, once we start, that's what he's going to say in the verse next. Patana karanam. It starts to fall very soon. But this is the first verse before we conclude.
Repeat.
Sorry?
Yeah, Siddharth,
Anji?
I had a question. So like when you say कि like even Ishwar is wishing that you do the right karma and then I'll be able to give you the phal. Sometimes like when I find myself in a situation when I am asking Ishwara कि ये फल आ जाए मेरे पास, then in my capacity, I feel like I am doing my best karma or the best karma that I know of. Then
Correct.
either then I don't even see how I can better my karma unless I get from Ishvara what is the better karma to do.
Correct.
Uh, yeah, so I just wanted to ask if like,
That's right.
yeah.
Having done what I think is the best I can do, then the last bit of karam is even when I'm praying, hey Bhagwan, give me which is correct to do, I drop it over there. I know that I have to leave this for the phal to mature my way. But I have taken care of everything that I think today I can do. I know nothing better than this. And that is wisdom. Absolutely correct. But
And I
just that
think more
last
than
step also has to be done. Having done everything, I have to learn to drop it, to understand, to surrender it, to understand that now the phal, if I'm asking for, is anyway not in my hand. But I have all the right to ask, yes, because I have worked for it. So prayer is not a wrong thing. That's perfectly fine. With this understanding that it is in his portfolio to give or not to give, or how much to give, when to give. Someone was saying
and
something.
yeah.
Ah,
So I just wanted to add that when we get phal, then I think more than what the action was, the intention is more important. So if the
absolutely.
intention was right, then we get the phal for that.
Correct. Absolutely. And the biggest thing, see now how I'll add on to this a little bit. The biggest thing, yes, it goes into Drishta and Adrishta Phalam also. The biggest thing over here is as you come closer to cleaning your intention, the biggest fall of that clean intention is even if your worldly action is not your way fully, supposing, the highest benefit of it is you have a great peace of mind. The shanti that you have acquired because you did what you were supposed to do, that shanti cannot come as a product of an action. And definitely you are right. Your point is correct that you will always get more than what you asked for if your intention is correct. That was correct also.
Deepti ji, what happens to like those things wherein you say if you pray thrice, your desires will get fulfilled, or if you pray 5 times, you will have peace and prosperity? Is it just to say that so that man, because we keep running after something and we are selfish, kuch aisa dal diya ke people start praying more and all? Is that what it is? Or, the God keeps that also in mind. Okay, 3 times if he does it like with full intention and with full dedication, I'll give him the phal. Is that what it is?
Uh, God actually, what God really keeps in mind is what ninth verse, Bhagavad Gita says in the ninth chapter. I'll have to look for the reference exactly where it is. But he says, Pushpam Toyam, uh, what is that verse? Even if you offer me one flower, even if you offer me this little water, That is also enough for me, provided it is done with Shraddha. So the question is not how much. The question is with what Shraddha did you do it? And why it is said in the world, do this many times, like lot of chanting, if you do it, that is a Siddha yoga also, that you have to mature a phal, you have to repeat it a particular number of times and all that stuff. That yes, patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati, correct. Tat aham bhakti uparatam ashnami prayatna, correct. Chapter 9, 26th verse. I'll re-refer, but Akanksha has just written this. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Even this much of it. So they are both points correct. I hope Divya is correct. You've understood. One thing is, like a lot of japa yogas, Siddha yoga would say it. You have to do it so many number of lakhs of times. You have to repeat for that phal to accrue. वो भी अपनी जगह पे सही है. बट श्रद्धा में अगर किया हुआ है तो एक्चुअल भगवान के शब्द हैं one thought. Even Ramana says this in some other context. Even one japa, when it is done, you may not know it, but it has brought its fruit. So there should be no conflict in your mind. Is that okay, Divya?
Yes, CPG, crystal clear.
Anji Siddharth?
Yes.
Yes, 26.
So
Thank you, Rajani.
going back a little, when you're talking about cleaning the intention, sometimes I'll just talk about my experience. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes when we're doing an action, we know that the intention is not the best intention to have, and we also know what is the better intention to have. But we are not able to abide in the better intention. We often are get back to the not so better intention. And then I also feel like someone would bluntly say, then leave the action, because if you are not able to do, but I also sometimes strongly feel that it is not the right thing to do, to leave the action. So how can we move towards cleaning our intention?
I will. Okay, let me address it. Though in third verse, when we come off this book, bring this question up again if it is not answered fully at that time. Okay, but for now, cleaning up of the intention is actually very gradually removing your layers of self interest, likes and dislikes. Self interest सबके पास है, होना ही होना है, that's okay. But excess of likes and dislikes which are covering your intention or coloring your intention, which is hiding the real intention, which is prejudicing your intention, which is what is another way of saying it, which is affecting your purity. You only know that it is not fully purified yet. So whatever is blocking that purity, it could be egoism. There are actually 3-4 only. This is zyada hai nahi. It can be either your ahankar, mostly it is the ahankar. Other than that, it will be strong likes or strong dislikes. उस वक्त आपका मन मानने को तैयारी नहीं है. You are stuck onto that particular thing because of your likes and dislikes. It can only be certain kind of dvesh and krodh and lobh and moh, or some past holding on to a memory, or some too much of an attachment to some future result that you are got stuck with. Between these few options, इनमें से एक तो होगा ही होगा, which is preventing that purification. And it doesn't matter, that's fine. Intentional purification happens very gradually to the extent you start removing your likes and dislikes from your action, which is the whole process of Karma Yoga, which we are coming on the third verse. So this is just an outline.
Can I add a little to the question?
Yeah.
Sometimes I also feel that whatever layer of ego, like, dislike, / desire exists, that is also one of the motivational factors. And it also sometimes seems important for the motivation to come through on a very daily micro level.
Mm-hmm. Correct. In that case, you have to expand the desire. Make it, say, supposing your desire is centered on one or two things, more predominant towards self-centered, what you are getting out of it. Now you expand it. Indirectly make some inclusiveness that it also affects and helps others. Works for others. So very indirectly you have modified the desire. Is that fine? So you will keep the motivation going. At the same time, you have sublimated it. And this is the topic, that's why I'm saying this is a large topic, and this is a topic which, in a nutshell, third verse of this book is going to tell us. But at this point, what we are learning is, learn to identify karma by itself is a tool we have. It's a tool, and it's a great tool. It's a blessing to be an active person. It's a blessing to be actually knowing what to act, what to get, what to want, what to do, how to get. It's a blessing. Nobody should be able to feel bad that you are, just because of humne pad li. No, it's a blessing. First blessing as a human being is your capacity to act independent. That's a huge blessing. No other creature has it. Gods in heavens, whatever they are said to be, they don't have this. They can't modify their own भोग भूमि. हम तो हेवन को हेल बना देते हैं, हेल को भी हेवन बना देते हैं. मतलब इंसान तो कहां से कहां क्या क्या कर लेता है. No other living creature can do it to the capacity that human being has. So it's a divine capacity in that sense. So how we look at the capacity to act is also divinize it. Because it's not inherent to, I did not create it as I said it. I find myself having, that means it is by itself divine. It's pointing to divinity. So I can only utilize it and direct it correctly. That's my responsibility. It's like water is coming. I have to direct that water in the right channel. Otherwise, there's a flood. So this capacity to act, if I do not direct it correctly, I am not making, I'm underutilizing the faculty, or I am destroying the faculty. And I'm destroying my life or someone else, something else to that extent. Okay? Clear? So just to conclude now, for now, so I'll just repeat the first verse. Kartu hu agnyaya prapyate phalam. Question is asked, how can karma be supreme? It's not a actual question. It's a, what is that? Taunting question. Not that Ramana's taunting, but akshepik question. When you say something in the form of a question, but you're not really asking, how can it be supreme? It's that kind of a, ye kaise ho sakta hai? It's something like that. How is karma supreme? Karma to jad hai. Karma itself to jad hai. Jad kaise supreme ho sakta hai? And now brings the whole year. A triggering of questioning starts. कर्म अगर जड़ है तो वो सुप्रीम नहीं हो सकता, तो सुप्रीम क्या है? What is that supreme? And there unfoldment begins to happen then. Okay, we'll continue next week. So, Divya, can you please conclude?
ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखात् भवेत्। ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथ्वी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं शोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
You everyone.
Ji, last to last class we had said that everything is happening due to the gunas. And then we say that we have the power to do action, karma.
Right.
Is it because we have the power to alter our gunas?
Also, yes, we have the power also, and we are at this point we are subject to our gunas. But we also have the power to change them. What are you today is a product of your past. But you are also free of it today. So you can alter it also. Otherwise, you would be a helpless being. No change is possible. क्योंकि वो गुण ही फिर अपने आप कर्म करते रहेंगे ना. So where are you? It's like sitting in an automatic car, अपने आप ही करती रहेगी. But sometimes you'll need to take the steering, the control of your car yourself, which is your power. You are the intelligent being. The car is not powerful, you are powerful. So
But then
gunas
why do
generate
they?
actions. Gunas are conducive to the kind of gunas you have is the kind of action you will do today. But if you wish to change it, you have the will to change it and the capacity to change. So tomorrow you will have a different set of gunas that will prompt you.
But they also say Vinash Kale Viprit Buddhi.
That is a लौकिक saying to say कि जब कर्म फल उल्टा आना ही होता है आपको तो आपकी बुद्धि बदल ही जाती है उस वक्त. What is not in your hands, if supposing I am a right thinking person and I take a lot of care to follow dharmas but I am destined in that sense, my own earning, my own prarabdha is to go through something which is not conducive. And I will start thinking like Narad. He wanted to experience something, so his whole buddhi changed and he became a samsari. So Vinasha Kale Viparita Buddhi is a very contextual saying. It's not a generalized saying. It doesn't mean it applies for everyone. It's just to say कि कभी-कभी, in spite of your best thinking and best guidance sometimes people can give you, you will still go and do something ulta. Then the wise people around you just know that chup rehna acha hai, because this is clearly the case where you need to experience bhog. You will not be able to avoid it probably, because when you are being even told not to do it, but you still continue to say I will, that means something is clouding your right thinking. And it can't be anything external force. It can only be the force of your own. See, the skal of Janma is where you have certain prarabdha, you are bound to live. But which is very small. It's again generalization to say prarabdha is not a very big set of karma. बहुत छोटा होता है. But that's why I'm saying this is very occasional. It's not a rule. But it is still possible. And that's why it's a caution to everybody. When we get tempted to doing wrong things or limited, then be careful. If by nature, if you're a right thinking person, पहले तो उसी में तपस लगती है that I should become a right thinking person. And then when impulses start growing in me, then I know something is changing, because by nature I'm not this. That means I better be watchful. Okay, everyone? Great. So we'll see you next week. Thank you everyone. Namaste. अरोरा
Thank you
अंकल जी,
so
आपका
much.
अभी भी आवाज नहीं आती बिल्कुल भी. We can't hear you. आपका माइक तो ऑन है लेकिन somehow I think it's not connected, so we can't hear you. You may have to see where the maybe a lead or something is not there. But thank you. Glad you can hear everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hari Om,
Thank you.
Deepti ji.
Take care.